What's up, friends of YouTube? Derek Van Diest here with Zaandam Music. In today's episode, we're gonna take a look at the automation process and some beginner tips for automation. Let's get into it. Alright, so I'm gonna start by showing you guys how to do some very simple automation tricks for samples. So I'm gonna start by picking a random sample from my files. I'm gonna go to my wave supply samples and one of Nick Myra's packs. Let's see here. I'm gonna look for something like a piano. See if he has one in here, or maybe a live guitar. Let's hear the live guitar. That one's pretty glitched up. What I'm thinking of doing is glitching one of these samples with automation. So here's some keys. I don't know. I don't really like that. Let's keep going. All right, I think this will work pretty well. So let's grab this sample here, key sample from Discardy, and it's time stretched to 136. I'm gonna bring up the audio levels on this by hitting Alt+ on my keyboard. Alright, cool. So let's go ahead and add an effect to this sound. I'm going to go to the mixer. I'm going to open up my effects window and do a quick search for glitch 2. And see if I can find it. Here it is. Next, I'm going to open up the mix insert section. And I'm going to click and drag this to the insert. And it should load up here momentarily. Alright, there it is. So we can close the browse window and we can start working on glitching up that sample. So I'm just going to remove all these randomizers and let's switch the beats to 8 bars. And I'm going to go ahead and loop this so that we can work on it. Alright, so let's start with some re-triggers. Let's see what that sounds like maybe here. So I'm just going to put a retrigger just to test it out, see what it sounds like. I don't like it there. Let's try the next area here. Okay, so let's try maybe a reverser here. And it's all trial and error, guys, with glitch 2. Alright guys, I'm going to work on it further, so I'm going to click on tape stop and adjust the effects, bring down the slowdown. I'm going to fix the reverser here, maybe turn the mix down a little bit. Same with the retrigger. Alright, cool. So we have a nice little glitch effect going for that sample. Next thing I'm going to do is show you guys how to automate now. Let's say you don't want that glitch sound to happen all the way through the sample. You only want it to be halfway, right? So I'm going to make this a little bigger. Let's make it small so you can see it clearly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click the letter A on my keyboard. That's going to open up the automation section here. As you can see here in this drop down, I don't have any automation right now. By default, they have a volume automation and a panning automation, but we're not going to use these. But you can use those if you want. Every sample is going to have the volume and panning, so you can automate it. But we're going to add one. We're going to add an automation from glitch 2. So I'm going to open up glitch 2, and I'm going to find whatever it is that I want to automate. So in this case, I want to automate the mix drive here because I want it to turn on at certain sections and I want it to turn off on certain sections. So after I messed around with the knob a little bit, I can see up here on the top left that glitch 2 is set up for automation. So I'm just going to click this letter A, and then right there, you're going to see mix is now one of the automation options. So now you're going to see this yellow line. It's kind of hard to see. Let's make it a little bigger. I'm going to make this bigger for us, normal. All right, so you can see there's like a little yellow line at the top here. That means that the mix is at 100%. So let's do this. Let's turn it down to 0. So I'm just going to click on the line and bring it all the way down to 0. And I'm going to add another line. And let's see here. I'm going to turn it on. I'm basically going to put it at 100 over here after 4 bars. So 1 dot here, 1 dot at the beginning. And I'm going to bring in another dot right on top of the dot we just put in here, if that makes sense. So there's a total of 3 dots. And what this is doing is it's telling the mix to go from 0 straight up to 100 right here on the 5. And it's going to stay at 100. But then we want it to go back down. So let's put another dot here. And then even another dot to bring it down so that the line goes back down. It kind of looks like half a box. So let's hear what that sounds like in context now. At the same time, let's look at what happens with the glitch knob in real time. So as you can see it working here, you're going to see this mix knob turn up by itself. So let's go ahead and test it out. So as you guys saw, the mix knob here switched. So let's do that one more time real quick. All right, cool. So I actually don't want it to be that long. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight these 2 dots by just click and dragging, just highlighting the dots. And I'm just going to click and move the whole thing to perhaps maybe the last 8 bars. So I think that's going to sound much better. So let's go ahead and test it one more time. All right, cool. So that's a basic automation, guys. So let's say you want to put another automation on top of this. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Let's go back to the mixer. We're going to do exactly what we did with Glitch 2. We're going to go to the browse window and I'm going to find another effect. I'm looking for WoW 2. So I'm going to click and drag WoW 2 right below Glitch 2. And it's going to load up here momentarily. And there we have it. So I'm going to close out the browser. I'm going to close out the mix. And let's just do a simple cutoff and dry wet automation. So first, let's automate the dry wet. I'm just going to click it, mess around with it, put it back to 100. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. On the top left, I'm going to click this letter A. And that's going to open up the automation for the dry wet, as you can see down here. So I can go back to the mix automation, or I can do any of these other automations all with this drop-down window. All right, so we don't need this anymore. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to put in a dot at the very bottom so that we start at 0. And I wanted to try putting another dot here and doing the same thing. I'm going to bring it up after 4 bars, just like we did with the Glitch 2. Except here, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm actually going to do the whole, I'm going to bring the whole thing one down here because of what I'm going to do with the cutoff. I want there to be enough time for the cutoff, and I'll show you here momentarily. Let's bring it back down to 0 after, the 8-bar loop ends. So I have this basic automation going for the dry wet. Now let's go back to the mixer, click on WoW 2. Let's open it back up. And now I want to automate the cutoff. So we're going to do a low pass. I'm going to click the letter A like we did earlier, and that's going to open an automation for the cutoff. Only this time it's in a different color. Now it's in red. So it's going to be easier to see with the dry wet knob. So anyways, the cutoff, I want it to do the same thing, start at 0. And then we're going to do something a little different here. I'm going to have it slowly rise. So instead of having it be a sharp line like we were doing with the other automations, this one's going to go up over time. And then I also want it to go down as well. So I'm going to add a few more dots and just, you know, move the dots around, try to create a nice shape. Just want to make sure this is even. So let's see, it starts 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's even. So let's try this out real quick and see what it sounds like. And let me show you guys while it's playing how it automates by itself. So let's get this on the window, and you're going to see the knobs move on their own as the 8-bar loop progresses. So yeah, you saw it work, but it's not exactly the effect we're looking for. So let's go ahead and you know, fine tune it and try to get it just right. So let me hear it one more time here towards that area. Okay, I think I know what I need to do. I'm going to go back here to the dry wet knob, and we need to turn that on a lot earlier. But instead, I'm just going to move it to the 8-bar loop, the 4-part here, and we're going to start from the middle. So now that I adjusted this, I'm going to go back to the cutoff, and I'm going to adjust that as well. I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to bring the whole thing over. Let's try extending this. All right, I'm going to try this. I'm just experimenting with it, see if it sounds better. So let's go ahead and play it. All right, sounds better, but I think this is a little too rapid, so let's extend it. Maybe let's do something like this. Maybe this will sound better. Let's see. All right, so I didn't really like how it just cut here and went up. It didn't sound very natural. So there's one thing you can do is actually adjust this curve so it doesn't have to be a straight line. If you click on this darker dot in the middle here and move it up or down, you can actually bend the line. So let's try bending it like this and see if that makes a difference. All right, so I like how this is, so we're gonna leave that alone, but here it was a little too much, so let's bring it down. I think right about here should be just right. So let's quickly try that one last time here. All right, I like how that sounds, so we're gonna leave it like that. We have three automations now on that one sample. So it's really that simple, guys, to automate on Studio One. Now, if you guys want to close the automation, just click the letter A again, and you're back to the original sample here. And you can mess around with it further. Let's say you want to transpose it. Let's bring it down maybe 4 and hear what that sounds like. So I just mangled that sample just by doing those simple glitch effects. And you could even take it further by creating a pad sound, and you can do this by duplicating that sample by clicking D on the keyboard and then bringing it down underneath and clicking Control R to reverse it. Then you can play around with the audio levels and try to make it sound like a pad. So there we go, I have a little bit of a pad going, so I'm going to switch the channel to my pads channel, and I'm going to switch the other one to the instruments channel. And the reason I'm doing that is because I already have some reverb set up. So as you can see here on the bus channels, I have room reverb on all of my channels. I have hall reverb on my pads channel, and for instruments it's just room. So by putting these on the proper bus channel, I can add some reverb very quickly. And here are my reverb channels, the ones that I always use for all my projects. So yeah, that's now it just made that sample sound thicker now. So let's see if there's a bass sample that from that same pack that I can use. It looks like he has an 808, and that's it. So let's hear what the 808 sounds like actually with this. I'm going to click and drag it in to the window. And we're going to hear it in context, but I need to transpose it down 4 so that it stays in the same key. So let's go ahead and hear what it sounds like. Hold up a second. This one's not tuned properly. That's the mistake. Let's try that one more time. For some reason, it doesn't sound right to me. That's weird. I'm gonna get rid of this 808. Alright, so anyways, there's other automation you guys can do. One thing I like to do is automate the 808. So if I just put on a simple pattern to go along with this, I'm going to do it real quick. Let's get rid of this. And here's my 808 channel, right? I'm going to hit Control-Shift-P to add a new pattern. I'm going to bring it up. Let's see if I can bring it up. Let's move this back to tiny because it's too big. All right, so I'm going to move it up to 808 cooking. Extend it out to 8 bars. Double click on it. Move the steps to 64. And I'm going to start programming an 808 pattern, but first I need to see what key the song is in. So I'm going to open up Hornet Song Key. I'm going to click Reset, and I'm going to see what key we're in. Looks like we're in C sharp minor. So C sharp minor on the wheel here. We're on that key now. I'm going to bring down the tempo. I don't like 150. I'm going to bring it down about 10. So let's try 140. I'm going to turn off this reverse because it doesn't sound like it's in key to me for some reason. And we're just going to work with the 808 in this. So let's start with C sharp, see what that sounds like. And I'm going to bring down the volume actually on that. It's a little loud. Let's get to the 808, bring it down. Okay, let's turn this off. All right, so let's start working on the 808. But actually, I need a clap in here just because it helps keep the tempo. So I'm going to put a clap on the 9 just to help us out. And let's go back to the 808. Let's try this. Let's put it here actually. No, that's not right. I think I got a basic pattern going. Actually, this one's off key. Still off key. Pretty sure E is in the key. Alright, let's leave it there. That sounds okay. Alright, so what I'm getting at is I'm going to click merge just to make it into a pattern here. So all you have to do is click merge and now you have it on the keyboard. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bass to this. So I'm going to open up the browse. I'm just going to add a random bass here, one of my instruments. Let's do DigiKits. I'm going to do Vibe VST. I'm going to put it into bass. And we're going to create a bass and an 808. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to automate the bands on the EQs so that we can put two bass sounds together. That's basically what I'm going to do here. So let's put in one of the bass sounds, one of the presets. And let's start working on a bass for this. But before we do that, let's add an EQ to the 808. So here's the 808. Let's add a FabFilter Pro Q. I'm going to do some quick EQing here for the 808. Alright, I'm going to add some saturation actually. I'm going to add a decapitator just to make the 808 a little beefier here so we can hear it better with headphones as well. So quickly here, I'm going to do this. Alright, I'm going to move it above the EQ. Alright, cool. So the 808 sounding okay now. Let's go ahead and add that bass sound to it. So let's add a melody. I'm actually going to duplicate the 808 and put it on top, and I'm going to adjust it from there. Wait, that sounds pretty cool right off the bat. Wow, that was really cool. Okay, I think I have an idea on what to do with that. So I'm going to duplicate that pattern because we're going to do an automation for it later. So what I'm trying to do, guys, is have both of these bass sounds playing together without clashing. So let's go to the Vibe VST. Let's add an EQ. And let's start EQing that bass sound without the 808 playing. So let's mute that. All right, so that's how I want it to sound without the 808. The way I have it now, let's see, where's the vibe? This one, okay. So the way I have it now, like this, is how I want it to sound without the 808. So this is the second pattern. While the 808 plays, I want this band to be somewhere around here so that we can cut off all those low end frequencies to allow the 808 to sit in this area. So in order to automate this band, let's move it around a little bit. Let's click the letter A on the keyboard to open up the automation section. And then click the A on the top left like I showed you earlier to open up that automation. So let's bring this up. Now we have band 1 frequency for the automation. Just what we wanted. So now I'm going to go ahead and enter some more dots like we did earlier. Let's turn this off here. Let's put one dot at the very beginning. So right here, so that it starts at 0. Oh, it's a little different with this one, with the EQ. Let's open up the EQ again because we need to make sure it's the right. We can't just eyeball it for this one. So if I put it down to 0, let's hear where it's at. See how it's all the way down here? So it can't be at 0. Let's bring it back up. And I'm going to make this bigger so it's not that small. Let's do large actually, or medium. Here we go. So we need to bring this up actually. I'm going to delete that. And that's the level that we wanted at. For the second half. So for the first half, I'm going to put a dot here to separate both of them. We want it to go up. So let's move this dot, if I can just grab it, about here. And let's match it here. So try to get it even. And let's put another dot down here because we want it to drop back to the normal level. So it should look kind of like this, like another half box, like we did earlier. Let's see what that sounds like. As you can see here, it's a little too high. We need to add some more bass frequency, so let's bring that down. I'm gonna highlight, actually no, I'm gonna grab them one by one. Okay, that's a little better. Let's bring this down to match. Okay. Let's play it with the 808 in context. See here, it's giving room for the 808 to play in this area. And then once this drops here, the second half, it's going to move back to normal. So that's the automation that we want for the bass. We want it to have full bass range when the 808 is not playing. But once the 808 joins in, we want to bring down that band so that we leave room for the 808. See? And that's how you do a simple bass automation there. So obviously it's not perfect. It needs some work, some more EQing and stuff like that. I need to put this on the right channel. But that's a basic idea of the automation. I mean, there's other ways to automate too. You guys don't have to do this line trick. So for example, let's say we're going to add a kick to this, right? So I'm going to click A to turn off the automation. Let's say we want to add a kick. So here's the kick section. I'm going to duplicate that pattern for the 808 and bring it down to the kick. I'm going to click on the kick here and I'm going to highlight everything and I want to bring it to C3. So let's bring everything to C3. This takes a little while, but they all need to be on the right key here. So I'm just bringing all of these down to C3. We're going to have the kick match the 808. Then I'm going to highlight everything, bring up the velocity bands so they all play at 100%. And let's hear what that sounds like together. It's a little loud. I'm bringing down the volumes. Okay, so here's the automation I'm going to do without the lines. It's called side chaining. Sidechain compression for the kick and the 808. So I'm going to open up a standard compressor. This is the one that comes with Studio One. And honestly, this is my favorite sidechain compressor. So here we go. I'm just going to put it on auto for just to begin with, automatically detect it. And I'm going to go to the kick and I'm going to open up a send channel to the sidechain of the 808. And this is going to create an automation for the 808 and kick so that when the kick plays with the 808, it ducks the volume for the 808. And I'm going to show you guys how that works momentarily. Let's go back to the compressor and let's see how that sounds together. Okay, so clearly auto isn't good enough. So I'm going to go ahead and solo both the kick and the 808 so you can hear the difference better. I'm going to take it off auto and do it by ear. Turn up the sidechain. Turn down the attack. Turn down the release. All right, as you can see here, the automation is happening where it's ducking down the volume in yellow here with that amount every time the kick and 808 play together. So I haven't EQ'd the kick properly yet, so that's why it doesn't sound as good. I'm just going to put in a quick sausage fattener here to give it some more power. See, now it's more obvious. And let's play it in context. Alright, and I guess that's it, guys. That's how you do automation. So hopefully you guys learned something today, and thank you for joining me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.